How's it going there, everyone? It's Mr. Zen here with a brand new discussion for today, folks. And for today's segment, I'm going to be talking about the most highly anticipated summer 2016 anime, folks. And yes, folks, I'm talking about Mob Psycho 100, done by the famous Studio Bones and another famous author and illustrator, One. Yes, folks, if you guys were familiar with One Punch Man, then you guys will definitely love this anime, Mob Psycho 100, because of the fact that it's done by the same author. And the author has clearly done himself very well with One Punch Man. So now that we're going to see another work of One, we're actually going to see Mob Psycho 100. And this work is actually very entertaining in itself, folks. The anime episode has you glued on from the beginning to the very end, folks. And if you guys don't enjoy that, then it's okay, you know. There's other anime out there as well that is very clearly entertaining as well. But let's get to this anime, folks. This anime is actually starring the character Mob, or aka Kageyama Shiego, and he's actually a powerful psychic. And in this world, it's very, like I said, it's very similar to One Punch Man. There's lots of ghosts and I would say demons or yokai, whatever they want to call it. But in here they call it they call these people psychics, that they deal with these ghosts in order to take down like their enemies, I'm assuming. They haven't clearly explained as to how these like evil entities just came out there, but apparently these psychics are able to take them down. And Mob is one of these psychics that is able to take down these entities. But the episode, how it started off, didn't really start off with, I would say, Mob himself. It kind of glued you on the TV as to say what was going. It kind of like left you in a state of confusion as to what is really going on. It's kind of like how storytelling wise, they first bring you down, I would say, like a future event that's unfolding, but when that future event's unfolding, right at the climax of that future event, they're gonna reverse back to the beginning of how it all started. And that's what Mob Psycho 100 is kind of doing right now, because the fact that you could clearly tell in the beginning of this episode, it's definitely Mob who is clearly exploding of some sort and defeating all these ghosts of some sort all over, like this I don't even know the kind of terrain this is, if it's either Earth or some kind of otherworldly spatial terrain. And it's clearly Mob himself being afflicted, having a different state of mind, and he's just killing everything that's in sight. But that's what it kind of leads into, like I said, into confusion for many folks, because then you're kind of glued on to the screen as to wondering, whoa, how did this happen? Personally, I am not an avid reader of Mob Psycho 100. This is my first time seeing this anime, and I clearly was glued to it throughout the whole entire episode, because of the fact that when you look at One Punch Man, it's a very action-paced anime. There's some comical skits. There's no romance involved in it. It's very purely, not really story-wise. It's just action. That's all it is. It's just action-based, purely action scenes. Slight drama within the characters, I would say, but that's One Punch Man. Now, Mob Psycho clearly is very more detailed in terms of One Punch Man. One Punch Man, like I said, it's also a pure satire story. That's why it's very comical in itself. But Mob Psycho is a little bit more serious in a sense. The battles aren't as, I would say, as flashy as One Punch Man is, since the fact that the animation is actually more done with the fact that they kind of focus more on very heavily sketches, on scenes that will be portrayed as a very powerful scene, a state of emotions in itself. That's what I kind of like about this episode, is that it clearly, when a character was trying to portray a certain emotion, you could tell One was trying to emphasize the state of emotion that the person was trying to portray. And I kind of clearly like that. And it also did it in a very comical sense too, in the fact, like all the rough sketches that are in the anime, it looks like if it's a rough draft from the animation studio and said, you know what, let's just slam this together and put it on for you guys. But no, clearly that's one style of art in itself, and that clearly shows that, you know, you will all clearly see that this is literally one's own style. So that way you can't tell if it's somebody else drawing it for him, or if it's another interpretation from other person's artist. You know, it's clearly one's own original artwork, and that's what I like. You know, originality when you're looking at a certain artwork and certain piece. And this anime will stand out because of that artwork as well. When you look at the anime intro as well, you're kind of clearly looking at how it has kind of like a retro kind of look, pretty uplifting. I would say the anime intro, it's uplifting. Don't get me wrong. It's just that like the way it's like if you're on an acid trip too. Like that's what I kind of like find it hilarious when I was watching that intro, because all the characters and entities that are being showcased in this episode, it just looks like something that like if you're just on some drugs or something. But the fact that it just clearly shows that, you know, all these creatures are meant to be comical in itself. You know, like creatures with like 8 arms and everything, or a creature with multiple eyes. You know, it's just to show that, you know, they're not human, you know, and they're able to just use it as comical spoof. But clearly, the anime itself is, like I said, is very more detailed in terms of story-wise. In terms of story-wise, it is very detailed in itself. You're actually glued as to say what the main character, Kageyama Shigoi, is actually doing, because there's more involvement in himself and all those around him too, because the character Shigoi, or aka Mob, he actually is trying to find some purpose in his life, and they kind of clearly show that this character does not. He clearly sucks at sports. He sucks at math. He sucks almost at everything in itself. They clearly emphasize that in the first episode, but he's a powerful esper. That's what they kind of clearly emphasize that in itself, and that's what a lot of viewers are going to be clearly seeing, is that, ooh, you know, how is the story going to portray moving on? It's like a coming of age story almost in itself, when you're kind of clearly looking at this, because he's a little kid, you know, and he's looking for a mentor to help him cope with these psychic powers and everything. And Reigen Aretaka is actually there to help him. He's another secondary character, or actually I would say main character in this story, and he shines the light for me. I love this character. He reminds me a little bit of myself when I'm out there trying to, you know, like skip my way out of like some kind of meal, or just, you know, just in general, the way he portrays himself, the way he kind of lies at times. I kind of reminds me a little bit about myself sometimes when I'm just messing around with my friends. It's so hilarious, the fact that the way this character is portrayed. He has a very lifelike personality in itself, and like I said, Author 1 does very well when he's showcasing his expressional moments. It's kind of funny that Mob doesn't really show that much emotion, but Reigen does. Reigen shows plenty of emotion throughout the whole entire episode in itself. And you clearly will love this character in itself, because of the fact that he is shown to be a con artist. He is taking advantage of Shigoi, and I would love to see how they actually showcase how these two met. They didn't show that in itself in this episode, but I'm hoping later on in the episode they'll show how these two characters met, or show a little history in itself. But clearly, it's gonna glue a lot of people into wondering how these characters. Like I said, this anime is pretty detailed in itself. And I'm loving how one emphasized the fact this. But like I said before, there are very similarities in One Punch Man. Like I said, Mob reminds you of Tatsuki from One Punch Man. You know, like the strong, very strong psychic. And Mob kind of resembles that strong psychic powers from her. You know, and it's clearly a lot of resemblance, but you know, it's still two different entities in itself. Very two different stories. And it's very entertaining itself. But like I said, folks, you know, I enjoyed this anime. I can't wait for episode 2 to come out. I want to see more of Mob and more of Reigen's shenanigans in this episode. And I'm hoping to see what kind of world that we're going to be dwelling in itself. What kind of more comical spoofs that we're going to get in here. I just want to see more about this episode itself. It's clearly going to be a hit winner for me. It really is. I give this show a 3.8 out of 5. Because of the fact that, I give it 3.8 because of the fact that I would say it feels very similar to One Punch. Maybe that's why I give it a 3.8. I would give it a 4, but I would give it a 3.8. It's still pretty good though. Don't get me wrong. It's very well. But it's just that because it resembles lots of One Punch Man. But like I said, the story in itself, I actually want to see what's more involved at stake in there. But like I said, folks, let me throw down in the comments what you guys thought about Mob Psycho 100. Like I said, I enjoyed it very much. But like I said, folks, have a wonderful day. This is Mr. Zen, signing